I'm your host, Kristen Ford. Welcome to Spooky Season Songcast. This one's about spiders. So a few years ago, I went on an extended trip to South America. It was a challenging time for me. I thought my Spanish skills were a lot better than they were, and I got food poisoning, and I got all my shit stolen. And I experienced a lot of homesickness, but I did write some songs while I was down there, and I also fell in love with watching football Americano. Tighten up. Anyway, towards the end of my journey through South America, I took a several day long voyage across the Uyuni salt flats. So what this is you can leave Bolivia, yay, and head into Chile through the largest salt flat in the world. It's 11,000 square kilometers of desert-like, moon-like landscapes. It's crazy. You get in a Land Rover with a driver and you're off. You're staying at these random outposts. And it was just a very strange experience. Anyway, this was me and my ex. That's two of us. And then to fill up the Land Rover, there were three French dudes. And one of them spoke okay English. He kind of served as a translator for the rest of them. I don't really speak any French. I tried to tease them. Chocolat bleu. Bonjour, bonsoir. Chocolat bleu. Like, really, I got no French. I did speak a little bit of Spanish, so we would speak Spanish together. That we both spoke it poorly, but at least could understand that mutual language. And sometimes their friend would translate, and they were cool, like hipster dudes. So anyway, it's the three French dudes and me and my ex in this Land Cruiser, just chilling across the Uyuni salt flats. We stayed at a hotel that was made of salt, where they served us spaghetti that ironically really needed some salt. And the French guys complained later that they were quite hungry. And you're out in the middle of nowhere, middle of the desert. There's no getting supplies or re-upping or any of that out there in the wilds of the Uyuni salt flats. And also, they were playing music for us. I think they wanted to give us something we knew that was familiar. It was Bon Jovi's Pour Some Sugar on Me in the Salt Castle, and this track got stuck on repeat. So we listened to Pour Some Sugar on Me like 20 times before we were able to track down a staff member to be like, hey, maybe just no music. We don't want to hear this Bon Jovi song again. It's getting a little bit ridiculous. Thanks. Anyway, these dudes were cool. This one guy, he had a bandage on his arm that was pretty big. It was on his forearm, and I asked him, hey man, did you get a new tattoo? And nueva tatuaje. I don't know how you say that in French. And he kind of laughed and said, no, not a tattoo. It's a wound. And every once in a while, he and the whole party would disappear to clean the wound, dress the wound. He offered to show me pictures of the wound. And I'm someone who gets woozy. I would make the world's worst zombie team, the world's worst nurse. I see blood and I just faint. It's over. We were stitching up a horse once when I was moonlighting as a wrangler in Wyoming, and there was a gash on the horse's leg, and this other wrangler was stitching him up, and I couldn't. I was gonna pass out or vomit or both at the same time. I digress. I didn't want to see pictures of the wound. But they would sneak off and dress it and this and that, and they explained that when this incident happened, his mother said, please fly back to France and have us take care of it. But he said, no, I want to explore South America. I want to experience this. So he sought medical attention at a local hospital, air quotes, where the doctor was quite young. I guess the doctor was like in his early 20s, and suggested before the procedure that they go ahead and go to the local supermarket and buy some soap and some gauze because the hospital didn't have any of that. So I'm not trying to shame anyone. Obviously, there are different resources we're used to in America or in France than they have in rural Bolivia, but for the purposes of this spooky story, that's pretty spooky to walk into a hospital and not even be sure if the doctor's washed his hands or if he is a doctor because he still has pimples and his voice is changing. I'm embellishing that part. I didn't see the doctor. I don't know what he looked like. But anyway, brought their own soap to clean out the wound. And you're probably wondering, what happened to this French dude? Well, I think it was fine. We made it through the Uyuni Salt Flats. We took some fun photos where we're lacking perspective, so you can make a tiny ukulele look huge, and you can stomp on a SUV, and it's cool. We did the photo shoot thing. We went through the desert. We made it to Chile. But before then, I found out what had happened to our friend. It was certainly not a tattoo. There are all these overnight bus trips across South America, and I believe they had come from Brazil into Bolivia, and then they were passing from Bolivia onto Chile. And on one of these overnight bus trips, our French friend had fallen asleep, and a spider, pregnant, laden with all of her eggs, had not only bitten his arm while he was sleeping, but she had chewed a hole into his skin, crawled inside his arm, and deposited all of her eggs, then crawling on. And he woke up in the morning on this overnight bus trip and was concerned about the spider bite. He knew he had been bitten. Something felt wrong. Something felt itchy. But it wasn't until the hundreds, if not thousands, of spider babies hatched out of his forearm flesh that he knew something was seriously wrong. So he went to the hospital with his own soap and gauze. They scraped out all of the spider babies, cleaned the wound as best they could, and bandaged it up. If that was me, I'm on the first flight back to France. Look out, Boy Scout. It's a spider.